Back here at Valor Fights 30 at the International in Knoxville, Tennessee. Vince Ferrara and Casey Oxendine. And we're going to start things off big time here with our next bout. It's a heavyweight bout at 265. And this is for a UMMAF National Qualifier. We'll tell you what that is coming up. And it's Gavin God's Warrior Walker at 4-2 in his MMA career out of Johnson City, Tennessee, taking on Justin Goodin at 6-1 out of Extreme MMA in Corbin, Kentucky. The heavyweights are back. You love them, Casey, and so do the fans.
Oh, man, I love the heavyweights, and particularly this one, man. Gavin Walker, that dude is massive. He has the body and he has the power to back it up. And then Justin Goodin, this guy is very experienced. Both of these guys have a tremendous amount of fights under their belt, and they're coming to take it all the way to Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, and talk about that. It is now that there is there's a new athletic commission, a UMMAF, and qualifiers around the country at all the different weight classes. There are fights that are qualifiers, and then they'll continue to move up the bracket nationally. And so this is one of those bouts. So there's a lot on the line here tonight. All right, to the cage. Fighter introductions. Here is Jennifer Oxendine.
Our next bout of the evening is brought to you by Fracture Fightwear and is in the heavyweight division, which is also a UMMAF qualifier. First, please welcome to the cage, Gavin Walker.
Gavin Walker, 4-2 out of the D-Evil MMA camp in Johnson City, Tennessee. The 23-year-old is 6'1", lost his last bout to Matt Talent. That was a split decision loss for the 265 title back in August of 2015. But Gavin Walker also has a win over Tim Johnson in his MMA career at Apex Fights 7. Talented guy, started training at the age of 17 under someone by the name of Casey Oxendine.
Yes, I spent a little bit of time with Gavin Walker. Yep. I think the world of him. As a person, he's a tremendous individual, man. He give you the shirt off of his back. As a competitor, he's a tough individual on another level. I'm very excited to see the future, what the future holds for Gavin Walker, and I am always and forever a fan of his.
Well, and you know, with the great people that he's working with, the legends, Dustin Walden, who he calls his mentor, just a terrific camp at D-Evil, and taking his training more seriously now these days. And he's on the radar, and he knows this fight is very important, because if he wins and he stays on that radar and moves up that qualifier to maybe eventually get to Phoenix, Arizona for the big tournament.
Yes, and he definitely has the look to make it all the way. You know, in this sport, unfortunately, everyone that has skill per se doesn't make it. If you got a little something extra, if you got that look, you got that presence, if you're a heavyweight, which is, you know, those are few and far between compared to the lightweight guys. Right. If you've got it all, then you have a tremendous opportunity. Then you add that with the actual abilities that this kid has. Look for him to go the whole way, the whole distance.
I'm sorry, Casey. And when you see him, and you'll see him a little bit here, you can tell by the physique that he is very athletic. He's a former bodybuilder, and you can see it just right there, just from him standing there. Just an unreal physique that you just don't see very much. He is primetime Adam Townsend's pick to win here tonight. Now his opponent, Justin Goodin, is 6-1. His last fight was a win over Jason Cruz, and he is the husband of Apex 115-pound champion Genia Goodin,
yes,
and a former semi-pro football player in Kentucky. So, or he does play semi-pro football. So you got a former bodybuilder and a football player.
Yeah, and also, you know, Justin Goodin is also a former training partner of Ben Rowland, a big dude with a lot of power. So he's used to taking hard shots to the head, you know, in training and in sparring. He's certainly going to get that from Gavin Walker here. But Justin Goodin, known for a tremendous amount of strength in his own right, even though he doesn't have necessarily the same physique.
Justin Goodin, the opponent for Gavin Walker, who you see there getting the final checks before he enters the cage. Justin Goodin is the current Warrior FC heavyweight champion, and he will come to the stage in just a moment as Gavin Walker enters the cage. No surprise in his red, white, and blue trunks.
The Apollo trunks.
Yep. Back to the cage, Jennifer Oxendine.
And his opponent, please welcome to the cage, Justin Goodin.
Justin Goodin, 6-1 out of the Extreme MMA camp in Corbin, Kentucky, 5'8", the 26-year-old. Casey, you mentioned he's a former training partner of Ben Rowland, and he says Gavin's in great shape, but I'm going to come out and test that chin. I'll let him know this is a fight, not a muscle contest.
Yeah.
That was Justin Goodin.
Well, there you have it.
We'll take a look at the tail of the tape here. You see the record difference between the two. Gavin Walker 3 years younger than Justin Goodin, and then the height advantage for Gavin Walker. He is 5 inches taller than Goodin, and then Goodin heavier at 19 pounds.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, the weight, it definitely plays a role. Strength and weight are two different things, and that's the thing. You know, if he does get on top of Gavin, then Gavin's going to have to use that strength and use it repeatedly to get out from underneath. That's one thing we mentioned before about the heavyweights, is that it's not like the lightweights where you're going to see transition, and the man on bottom is you know, can often be in as good a position as the man on top. But here, the man who ends up on top is a decisive advantage. Of course, pound for pound, these heavyweights hit like a ton of bricks as well.
Yeah, two beasts match up in this one. And when you look through Justin Goodin's career, he's got wins in a variety of different ways, not just in the strike game. He's got some submission wins as well. All right, the two fighters in the cage. Back there, Jennifer Oxendine.
This bout is scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds. First, fighting out of the Hog's red corner. He weighed in at 242 pounds, holds a record of 4 wins and 2 defeats, and represents D-Evil MMA in Johnson City, Tennessee. Give it up for Gavin, God's Warrior Walker! And his opponent, fighting out of the OEB blue corner. He weighed in at 261 pounds, holds a record of 6 wins and 1 defeat, and represents Extreme MMA in Corbin, Kentucky. Put your hands together for Justin Goodin. Your referee for this fight is Josh Ford.
Josh Ward, our referee in this heavyweight bout at 265, 3 3-minute rounds. Gavin Walker in the red, white, and blue trunks, and Justin Goodin in the gray trunks.
All right, let's not blink here, man. Tons and tons of horsepower are getting ready to collide here.
A national qualifying spot on the line between these two heavyweights.
And here we go, immediately Gavin Walker pushing against the cage, using the power that he has. It's a style that has typically been utilized by Gavin Walker. It's very difficult to move once he gets you sprawled up against that fence. All right, Gavin Walker continues to push against that cage, use a little bit of that striking. He let up just for a little bit. It looks as though that Justin Goodin is cut. I can't tell how badly. It doesn't appear to be too bad.
Goodin trying to be Linus. Oh yeah, that is bad. That's over the eye as well.
Oh wow, here we go, Gavin Walker delivering again. Big knees to the body.
And that eye is closed, I think, because of the blood dripping through.
If I'm Gavin, I would lower my level just a little bit and keep that pressure in. That way he can rest a little bit more. But Goodin already seems to be slowing down slightly. I don't know if it's from the damage caused by that cut or if he is just taking his time and resting. It doesn't appear that Gavin has attempted the takedown yet. Goodin may be riding it out, but man, those knees have to hurt.
Man, they're just massive knees, and he's good at them. He's very flexible with them.
And that's one thing is Gavin's going to want to pace himself here. You know, you can tell that Justin Goodin, he takes a good punch, and now every time it takes it back to the center, you know, Goodin has that puncher's chance.
Goodin's eye is open now.
Oh, nice head kick.
And that chin is up by Goodin.
A few shots there by Justin Goodin. And Gavin continues to drive. Again, if I'm Gavin, he needs to look for that underhook with his right arm. That way he can maintain the control, because if he's not putting pressure on Goodin, then Goodin can circle out anytime he wants to.
Snuck in an uppercut as Goodin tries to keep the distance.
And that's one thing I can see with Gavin. He's a lot more relaxed than I've seen him in his previous fights. He's taking his time, and he's delivering the shots that he needs to, the effective ones.
We've seen Walker.
Here we go, looking for the takedown. Defended well by Justin Goodin.
Very active with those knees, continues.
And that's one thing, the base of Justin Goodin is low. He's got big legs just like Gavin does. And then a lot of times the guys that big, they're hard to get underneath and get to the mat. But definitely round one goes to Gavin Walker.
Goodness. Big targets with the heavyweights too when you're trying to throw and hit those knees and connect. You got a lot to try to hit, but Gavin Walker clearly controlling that first round.
Absolutely. Not a lot of head movement. You're not going to see a lot of head movement here. If these guys throw, they're going to land, they're going to hit something. Now, a lot more mass to absorb the punishment here. And here you can see the action in round one. Here we go, Gavin Walker with that beautiful head kick, just missing, but you can see with ill intent there. And Justin Goodin circling out wisely.
You see Adam Primetime Townsend there in Gavin Walker's corner.
Yes, as well as Matt McKenna.
Yeah. Two terrific fighters.
Two gentlemen, and of course, JSP in the corner as well as the third man.
And you'll see Adam Townsend, Apex Fights 10, March 19th in Kingsport. Underway in round number 2. 3-minute rounds.
Here we go. Gavin drawing first blood again here in the second round, pushing to the cage. Visions of the first round.
Do you like Gavin in this spot? Would you rather that he try to strike and separate?
I like Gavin. I think that Gavin can contain the puncher's chance here of Justin Goodin. I like that. I think that he's utilizing those knees well. Those add up, especially to the body. And but one thing I would like to see is for him to swim to take the underhooks. That's going to make it much easier for him to control there in the cage, because again, it seems, oh, that was a nice overhand right there. Beautiful by Gavin Walker. And you know, he's doing exactly the amount of striking he needs to do in order to keep ahead.
And a low blow. It was noticed by Josh Ward, our referee, so they'll take Walker back to a neutral corner, and it'll be 5 minutes that Goodin gets here for that low blow.
And if Justin Goodin is starting to gas a little bit, this is a big break for him. And he'll certainly use that 5 minutes if he needs it, and he has every right to do such, much to the dismay of the fans.
Looking at the look Gavin Walker gave Goodin, I think he wonders how much that really hurt him, and if he's just doing this to get an advantage and get the rest, you mentioned. But Walker's going to go through it. Man, look at that physique on Walker.
Okay, here we go. Goodin ready to rock, man. And that definitely, if it, oh, here we go. Goodin looking to throw. Gavin answers big. And again, driving Goodin back to the cage, possibly getting a mental edge here.
Back to the way they were before.
And, you know, taking that break of the low blow possibly as a mental break, that could be a positive thing for Gavin Walker on a mental level. And really, honestly, I think that Gavin looks better than he's looked in any of his fights. He just looks very, very controlling. He's using that pressure good. Like I said, I would look for him, though, if I were him, to try to control the underhook a little bit more, which would allow him to apply more pressure and prevent Goodin from really retaliating in any way.
Goodin is finally starting to throw from the cage. He snuck in 4 rights to the body of Walker, but it hasn't stopped the progress of Walker.
Right. Another big shot there by Goodin. Goodin may possibly picking up steam here a little bit.
Where's that head movement you were looking for from Walker? He ducked that punch.
Yes.
With those knees, just relentless from Walker. What about Goodin? He's on his side. He's now given a bigger target. What should he be doing better to get out of this?
Well, again, if I'm Goodin, that left arm, I would try to swim to the underhook and definitely try to circle out from that cage. He needs to continue to push off from the cage. But again, it's very difficult when you've got the pressure of Gavin Walker in front of you. It's very difficult. Now we're going to get a separation and look for Josh Ward to do a little bit more of that as the fight continues to progress. Oh, those are big shots. That was a big shot there by Justin Goodin. And look for the takedown. The base too good on the part of Gavin Walker, and Gavin goes to the back of Justin Goodin.
Wow, nearly a takedown, and then also stun Walker maybe for the first time.
Yeah, possibly, you know, 1 or 2 shots that got through there. Still not enough to take the round in my estimation. 2 rounds to nothing for Gavin, God's Warrior Walker. I think that Justin Goodin, he's going to have to come out in this third and really get something going. He's actually sitting down in the floor, and they're really, Mark Laws, they are working on the eye of Justin Goodin as it appears to be closing even more. That's a nasty shot, and as you mentioned, that happened early in round 1, so we've had plenty of time for that swelling to take effect.
It didn't really bleed in that second round, but it started to swell,
yes.
So it changed.
Could have been possibly better if it had bled a little bit, and because now it's really caking up there.
Well, I guess Goodin was planning to stand, but then so they didn't bring the stool out, and then they brought it in later. But nonetheless, Goodin's got work to do here in his third and final round. See if he can get some offense. But with the big guys, they're 1 shot away.
Yes.
Walker certainly looks like he has won his.
Fresh as rain. Look at Gavin Walker, man. This is the best. Again, I'll say this is the best he's looked in any of his fights. You know, typically he gets into the later rounds, tends to slow down a little bit, starts to get. He's not gassing one bit here. He looks phenomenal.
All right, so some extra mat work as Josh Ward, a referee, sends him back to their original corners. And we're underway, third and final round, 3 minutes.
And again, Goodin comes out with a few shots, but pressed back to start off round 3. Justin Goodin giving it his best effort there, but just too much pressure here.
Justin Goodin's loss was via TKO. And that was back in 2008. He's looking at another loss here if he doesn't find a way to win this round.
Gavin Walker looking to seal it up with a takedown. I feel like if he gets it to the ground and ends up on top, it could be curtains for Justin Goodin and his chances for advancing on to Phoenix, Arizona.
A national qualifying spot on the line between these 2 promising young guys. Walker just relentless, now letting the hands go.
Absolutely sharp shooting here. And that big left knee landed right to the sternum. Again, right to the sternum. That will take it out of you right there. Those are hard shots.
Oh.
Now the referee, Josh Ward, starting to look a little more closely. Justin Goodin taking a lot of shots here. Gavin knows only 1 minute and 30 seconds. Plenty of gas left in the tank.
See the swelling over the eye of Goodin. Oh, still
and
taking
Goodin
knees.
not reacting at all here.
Hands are just drooped. Walker still.
Yeah, this is not a good situation for Justin Goodin.
Close to getting stopped, don't you think, Casey?
Yes, if Gavin were to land a few hard shots, it could be a bad spot and a finish here for Justin Goodin.
With those arms, if he was to connect with an elbow, my goodness. You say he hadn't thrown it, but he hadn't needed it.
Here we go.
Walker.
Continuing to unleash.
Just
Continuing to unleash here.
no defense from Goodin. Goodin getting absolutely dominated. I don't know, last time he threw a punch, Casey.
Right.
Just
Here it is,
covering up,
it's
yeah.
over with. It is over with. Gavin Walker advances to Phoenix, Arizona. What a finish.
An opportunity and a domination for Gavin Walker. What a job for D-Evil MMA camp from Johnson City. God's Warrior, Gavin Walker, the former bodybuilder, delivers tonight with a win over Justin Goodin, who took all kinds of punishment.
Wow.
Impressive.
Props to him, and you know, props to Justin Goodin too for weathering the storm as long as he did. He hung in there, but just an absolute massacre there at the end. I don't think there just wasn't anything left in the tank for Justin Goodin, and the referee mercifully calls a halt.
Yeah, Goodin wasn't offering any sort of defense for a while, so good stoppage by our referee, Josh Ward. And I mean, we ran the replay at the end of the fight, but you could have picked any 15 to 20 second period of that fight. It pretty much looked the same, with Gavin Walker having Goodin back up against the cage and just hammering him with punches and kicks. All right, back to the cage for the announcement of our winner. Here is Jennifer Oxendine.
Your referee stops this fight at 2 minutes and 50 seconds into the third round for your winner by TKO out of the Hogs red corner, Gavin God's Warrior